He says in question 14, was the concept given to, he pauses and said, let me ask, you said it originated there. Was this concept devised for a training tool for those inhabiting Venus at the time, or was it devised by those of Venus as a training tool for those of Earth? Yeah, that's totally misplaced. Earth at that time was barely having life form as we know it in second density. But yeah, Ra says the Tarot was devised by the third density population of Venus, a great measure of your space-time in your past. So yeah, Earth was, I don't know which era we were in, but yeah, very, very primitive. As we have noted, says Ra, the third density experience of those of Venus dealt far more deeply and harmoniously with what you would call relationships with other selves, sexual energy transfer work, and philosophical or metaphysical research. The product of many, many generations of work upon what we conceive to be the archetypical mind produced the Tarot, which was used by our peoples as a training aid in developing the magical personality. So here's context. This is why Ra loves the Tarot so much, because this was their tool for enlightenment, basically. That's what developing the magical personality is to allow this non-egoic self to be manifested. And so I would think that in our planet, the Tarot might not be what we get so excited to talk about when we become a social memory complex. But I may be biased here, but non-duality is what has been developed in essence, or mysticism. Let's put it that way. It's just that non-duality is a catch-all phrase for anything that is mystical, because we're talking about unity, right? So whether that be in Christian traditions or Taoist or shamanistic, we're all seeing unity. That's our thing here. So yeah, we might get excited to talk about mysticism as a social memory complex. But Ra developed the Tarot, and they are giving us a little bit of a refresher also as to how their society was, and that was a great relationship with other selves. They didn't have this bloody competition that we have on Earth. Sexual energy transfer work, they develop well, very well, what is the interaction between entities for intercourse and the energy transfer that was performed there. So this is a product, I believe, of their philosophical and metaphysical research. So understanding reality from a different point of view, not from the animal point of view, which we have been developing, basically our sexuality. And so that's very different. It's not very useful for spiritual development or evolution to just concentrate on the primitive and very obscure aspects of sexuality, which is the case in our Earth. The product of many, many generations of work upon what we conceive to be the archetypical mind produced the Tarot, which was used by Ra as a training aid to develop the non-egoic personality, or the spontaneous self, the real, the true self, manifested in form. So we see again that the Tarot was developed over many generations, and that was to understand the mind, the archetypical mind.